Hi, it's Kirk. Welcome to the A.D.K Rock and Metal channel. And today I'm joined by some special guests from New York. And I'm talking about the band GUHTS, who released their debut album in January called Regeneration. And I'm joined by vocalist Amber Gardner and guitarist Scott Prater. So before we get into it, I'd just like to say, how are things there in the Big Apple?
It's warming up.
Yeah, it's been a little rainy, but it's warming up and it's pretty good today.
You look like you've been working from home today rather than doing the rush hour traffic.
Yeah, you could say that. Well, you're working from home. We're at my job right now.
Yeah, we're actually
We're in a hair salon. Yeah.
Right. So you've not been on the, hustling and bustling on the subway to get home then?
No.
No, we're not actually in the city. Two of our members are in Brooklyn, and we're upstate from them. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, can I just find out a bit more about that? Because I know that you're all from the northeast of the United States, aren't you? Where are you originally from, each one of you? Where were you born?
Go first. I was born in a small town, upstate New York, Cornwall. And it's about an hour and a half out of the city. Yeah.
And I was born in, I'm from an even smaller town called Dover Plains, which is about 2.5 hours from New York City. Yeah.
And then Daniel and Brian, the drummer and the bass player, they're from Brooklyn.
Yeah, they're cousins, them two.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Saw that in an interview, yeah. Because I, for some reason, I assumed that one of you two probably lived in Brooklyn as well. Because Brooklyn, to an English person, I think we just remember Woody Allen films and gangster films from the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And apparently it's really gentrified now, isn't it? A bit like Hackney in London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely.
Impossible to live there because the rent is... Oh, no, I think... Did they have rent control, though, in New York?
Maybe some places.
Yeah. Not everywhere, but maybe some places, though.
Yeah.
Okay. So can we go back to the origins of the band? Am I right in thinking, Scott, during lockdown, you just started writing music for yourself, probably just to keep yourself occupied? Now, Amber, you were eavesdropping on this music. Can you give us some context? Do you two live together? Or are you a neighbor? How were you hearing this music?
Well, we're together.
We're actually married.
We're in a relationship.
That makes sense.
So, yeah. I was just gonna say something really funny, but I was like, no, I'm not gonna go too far on this. I was in the other room. So we made our formal living room into a studio and blocked it off in the house that we were renting. And I had a little office to the side and I could hear him working on it. So as he kept working on it, and you would show it, you would have me listen to it once in a while. I was like, oh, you should let me do some vocals on it.
Yeah.
So that's how that went.
Would that have come about without the enforced inertia, the quarantines of COVID-19? Do you think this band would exist without that?
I think it's highly possible. It might not have flowed as smoothly, though. Because originally I was writing music for another band that we had, and that music I was working on wasn't fitting the mold of that band. So then I was kind of making it like a solo project. And then that's when Amber started really hearing it and hearing ideas. But I think having all of that time during lockdown is what really fueled the creative juices on this. So,
I think so too. I think that I don't think we would have experimented as much.
No, definitely.
Because we didn't think we were going to do it live.
Yeah.
Like once he let me do vocals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were just like, fuck it. Like, let's just keep layering, layer, and basically experimenting.
Yeah.
So now here we are.
What projects were you doing at the time, and are you still involved in other musical projects?
We had a doom metal band called GUHTS, and that's just, we didn't officially end it, but it's been on hiatus. We haven't played a show. Our last show
we met Brian.
Yeah, our last show was right before lockdown, and that's actually how we met Brian, our drummer, because his other band had played that show too.
Yeah.
So it was like the perfect situation.
Yeah. So
And we met Daniel too that day.
Yeah, we actually.
He was there at the show.
Yeah.
So he had to leave for health reasons, though, didn't he? Was it how integral was he in the beginning of this project?
No.
Oh no, there's two Daniels.
Oh, okay.
So Daniel, the bass player, and Brian were both at that show that we played.
I see.
And then Daniel
Dan,
from South Carolina.
Yeah, he's North Carolina.
I mean North Carolina. I'm sorry.
Basically, we were introduced to him when we were down there on tour one time with our old band. A good friend of ours lives down there, and he introduced us to him. And then years later, we were working on this, and that good friend of ours said, "Hey, why don't you see if Dan would be interested in writing with you because of his interest and skill set." And basically, once we started kind of forming ideas, Amber and I, we talked to Dan, and Dan and I would share projects, the recorded projects back and forth through the internet. And he would layer all of his ideas on top of the stuff I had already written.
Yeah, it was really fluid.
Yeah, so I mean, he was a big part of the writing process in the beginning.
Yeah, you have a second guitar player live, don't you, as well? Am I right in thinking?
No, not now. We don't. He was the second guitar player. He went to Utah and recorded the album with us, and he did one tour with us, but he wasn't really able to travel too much. So I've just been playing guitar live.
Is that him on on your YouTube channel? You have that rehearsal video, don't you? And you're playing that song, Handless Maiden. Is that him?
Yeah.
Playing the other guitar. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a tune that is. Can I make a guess? I think, Amber, that was one of the first songs that the band wrote, even though it's on this album and you've done an EP 3 years before. How wrong am I with that prediction?
Was that the first?
I think The Mirror actually was.
Yeah.
Oh, what a song that is.
And The Mirror was. So I have these songs. I have versions of these songs that maybe we'll release one day. The Mirror, when it started, was like all synths and pianos and drum machine and no guitars whatsoever, no live drums. You can hear that it's The Mirror, but it's totally different though too. It's really cool. And that's the song that she heard first and started having ideas.
Yeah.
That's the one, when I reviewed it for Scream Bash Repeat, that I said it was almost like a doom metal version of the Cure's Disintegration album. It just reminded me, it captured that sorrowful introspection, which is, I think, very difficult to do in music with distorted doom metal chords. But I can see also that with this album, there seems to be, as you'd expect, a lot more awareness. And there was a Bandcamp feature. So I came across this album, one from the UK PR company that are handling it, sent it my way. And then I saw this Bandcamp feature. How did that come along? Did they approach you, Bandcamp? Because that's quite a prestigious slot to get these days.
Yeah, it is, huh? It was really exciting, actually. So because, we're working with 2 record labels on this. We're working with Seeing Red, who's doing North America. And through his PR blast, Brad Sanders, who is the guy that writes for Bandcamp, and he also does a bunch of other stuff with magazines and stuff. He picked up on it and really loved the album and was like, hey, let's do this feature. So
perfect. So it just came out of the blue. Someone heard your art and just thought, this needs attention. I've got a platform. Because that Bandcamp page, I use Bandcamp because I'll get my inbox and then I'll put them all on a calendar. And then when I'm doing a review, I'll always check, do they have a Bandcamp page? Because do you know I like to check that? Because it has the tags of how artists describe their own music, doesn't it? The subgenres. And Amber you came up on that, and it's great. They always do an illustration, don't they, as well?
Yeah.
I think that's a great.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
my hair is up like in a bun.
When I saw that, I was like, "Whoa! This band are going to be taken seriously. They're on Bandcamp, the main page." So it's great to see that they scouted you essentially, didn't they? Brad has heard this album and just let's give this some attention. So you released your first EP in 2021. At what point did you two realize this was going to be more than just a side project, an experiment? That this is probably going to be the main creative enterprise now for you?
I mean, at the point of releasing the EP, we were still not planning on doing it live. And then, we started to get like some really good reviews. And we weren't really paying attention to our other band that we had. And, we just started tossing around the idea of trying to find a drummer. And then we had that show with our old band and we met Brian, and probably like a month and a half later, I was like, hey, why don't we ask that guy?
Yeah.
And we asked him and he was like, hell yeah, I'm all about it, like right away. And then like a couple weeks later, we were talking about a bassist and he's like, oh, my cousin's a bassist. And that's how that all happened.
And then he interviewed us.
Yeah.
That was like, he kind of felt us out to see our vibe or whatever.
Yeah, seriously.
So we practiced with him a little bit. And then he was like, yeah, we're going to do this.
Well, at least he was serious.
Yeah, I feel like that's it. Like all of us are pretty like dedicated.
Yeah.
I would say that, like finding the right people that have the same amount of energy going into it. And like we have a lot of fun, but everybody's pretty like loyal to the project and dedicated to it. And and everybody's really different. So, and we all like do metal, but we also like other music.
Oh yeah.
And it's just a very eclectic mix of personalities, I would say.
Yeah.
That comes through in your performance, Amber, as well. There's almost like a Mystique, Susie Sue type of form. I don't think, it's really hard to say. I don't think you're copying anyone whatsoever. But you seem to just lose yourself on stage, don't you?
Yeah.
Like
sometimes I forget. I literally forget. Like Scott will be like, "Did you see that?" I'm like, "I have no idea what's happening." Like I completely like not all the way black out, but I try to lose myself.
Do you not remember? Is it one of those where you don't even remember the show an hour later? You're just like, wow, what happened there?
I do, but I like little things. He's like, did you?
Well, yeah, like
what happened
our last show, she came close to me and was like moving around and like she slammed her hand into the headstock.
I didn't even feel it.
I was like, how's your hand feel? She's like, what do you mean? She like didn't even realize she
never.
Yeah, I was watching an interview on YouTube. It's quite interesting. It's called The Oral History of Women in Rock, this YouTube project. And they're interviewing. Do you remember a band called Throwing Muses? Like an ancient.
Yeah.
They were interviewing one of the singers, and she said that she'd come off a gig, she couldn't remember it. She was not exaggerating either. You could tell. She's like, I don't know what happened. She didn't even remember recording one of the albums. She wasn't off her face on drugs or anything. I think she was just so anxious and in the moment and didn't really know.
I literally do that, like mentally prepare before a show. I do a little thing beforehand, and then as soon as we're into it, that's it. It's like gone. But that's what I like about it.
Yeah, do you know the video that you did for track number 2 on the album, Till Death? That is such a spellbinding video. Did you direct that?
Yeah, we co-directed it together and just did it all ourselves. Yeah.
There's some scenes where, Amber, there are these two earnest-looking women with like war paint on, and you're screaming in the face, and they're just remaining steadfast, solemn.
Yeah.
That must have been fun doing that.
Yes. Yep. It was good.
Yeah.
Thank God for family.
Yeah, those women are her niece and her daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, there you go. At least you didn't have to pay them.
Yeah. Just in food.
That's true.
But no, you're right what you're saying. You can tell that you listen to everything from, like the no wave scene from New York of the early 80s to post-punk, ritualistic music, Dead Can Dance, everything like that I can hear in that as well. So, Amber, were you in the doom metal band with Scott? What project were you in before
I
that?
was in Witch Kiss, and I was the drummer and
Yeah.
singer in Witch Kiss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Scott, I know you play guitar and piano. Do you perform any instruments in any of the other bands that you've played in, and besides
well,
that?
in Witch Kiss, I played guitar and also did a lot of screaming. And I've been in a whole bunch of other bands over the years, but just mainly guitar has been my thing.
You can play drums.
What's that?
You can play drums.
Oh yeah, I mean I can play drums, but I'm not like a drummer in a band.
Do you do any vocals on this record? You don't, do you?
Yeah, no, I do. They're very well blended though. They're just kind of like a texture, which is kind of how we try to do it. Like I'll do vocals live too, but I try to make my vocals just kind of like a backing layer to Amber.
Yeah, I understand that. It's when I was listening to it again today, sometimes with music where there's a lot of heavy amp gain, the vocals get lost in there. But with this, it's almost like there's no place to hide for you, Amber. You really have to bring it all together, don't you? There's a lot of pressure on you, and I think you do a great job of that. It still sounds almost like I'm in a daydream at times, even though it's really aggressive and confrontational. That paradox is, certainly something that stands out for me. How did do you know, in England, do you have the deal with New Heavy Sounds? How did that come about? Is that through the deal that you've got in North America and they are just a partner this side of the Atlantic?
So when we released Bloodfeather, the EP, New Heavy Sounds found us from that. And they were expressing interest back then. And we weren't really sure what we wanted to do for a while as far as like, playing live and releasing an album and stuff. But we always kind of kept in touch with them. And then also seeing Red, we've been friends with him probably for close to 6 years now. He expressed interest as well. So basically when it came down to it, we were like, hey, you guys want to do it all together, so we could maximize our coverage all over the world. And that's kind of how that they were like, yeah, let's do it. So
yeah, over here they're making a name for themselves.
Yeah.
New Heavy Sounds, that band Cold in Berlin. I just reviewed a hardcore album last week called Shooting Daggers, the band were called.
Oh yeah.
That was interesting. That I was thinking, okay, is this just going to be more about the politics than the music? But the music was just as interesting. They even had shoegaze elements in their music as well. Yes, I think that's quite a prestigious boutique up and coming label, certainly in the UK. So yeah, that's awesome. I think you've got quite a bit of traction over here, haven't you? Most of the interviews seem to be UK publications from what I've seen.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
With GUHTS.
Yeah, we're hoping to get over there and tour, sometime in the next year and a half-ish, trying to figure that all out.
I think what a good place to start would be Camden, London, the Desert Fest. Are you aware of that? Yeah. You'd be perfect fit for that.
Yeah.
Because that is post-metal, stoner metal, prog metal. You get some actually like progressive death metal on there as well. Some really eclectic bands on there. That would be ideal for you. And then you could build the tour around there. Couldn't you? Get a couple of shows in London, go out to what we call the home counties. Even you'll probably still want to go up north to Scotland, I imagine, won't you, as well?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, why not?
So, even though it's small on the map, it is still, to us, we think it's quite a big country, Driving from London to Edinburgh that would be nothing to you guys, would it? But
yeah.
Here it is.
It's fun.
So I just want to ask as well, you've announced this 9-date tour, spring tour, and you're not just playing the East Coast though. I've noticed you're playing like Birmingham, Alabama, and North Carolina.
Yeah.
Are you still looking for one more date on that tour that you need to
Yeah.
play?
Yeah, we're trying to plug something in like Tennessee or South Carolina, but it's on a Monday, so that's like the worst day to try to book a show. So a lot of bands nowadays are taking Mondays off, so we might be doing the same thing. So we'll see what happens.
When you go to Birmingham, Alabama, there's a media company. I don't know if you've heard of them called Launcher Youth.
No.
So we interviewed them on this channel. They do these when bands are passing through town.
Oh,
They'll do these white room videos where you're miming, they look great. Check them out. He'll probably come looking for you if you get a gig there. It's called Timothy. Just go on YouTube, and there've been some bands that have gone on to bigger things that have played on that as well.
Oh, wow.
But
Thank you.
he did a great job of capturing it. Yeah,
That's
Launcher
awesome.
Youth.
Long
Awesome.
chair youth.
Yeah.
This band Ember, EMBR, they set up the show with us there, so they probably know of that also, because I think they're from that city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that band. I think they're called Capra. They're on Metal Blade now, like a hardcore
yeah.
band. They did that Launcher You thing as well.
Oh, okay,
I was
nice.
like, oh, this is a band that have gone on and signed with Metal Blade. So yeah, check that out. But what's this last one of the the homecoming show, Arlene's Grocery,
Oh,
New York. Obviously, that's not a grocery shop, is it?
no.
What's the significance of that venue? Is it quite a famous venue?
Yeah, it's very famous. It's been around a long time. We actually were going to end on the 23rd in Richmond, Virginia, but our bassist Daniel was just asked if we wanted to play, so we're like, all right, let's add it, and that'll be our last show when we're back home and nice and warmed up from tour. So,
is it like a famous grassroots music venue?
I think so. Yeah.
You probably know more about it than I do.
I mean, it's forever old. I mean, it's existed, even made it through everything just that happened in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know the date that it started, but it's pretty old.
It's been around a long time.
I don't know if is it old as CBGB's or anything like that. What happened to the camera?
Sure. Oh,
I can still hear you.
I don't know what happened.
Is that a venue that would have hosted hardcore bands in the 80s, when New York really was at its peak for that scene?
Who, Arlene's?
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know that history. I wouldn't want to give wrong information. Maybe more punk, I would say.
See, I always think of that. Do you know that Woody Allen film, Hannah and Her Sisters, mid-80s film? There's a scene in that where Diane, I think it's Diane Visa, who he's dating, and she's like a bit of a rebel, and she goes to a punk band, and it's like a small venue, and I think Woody Allen says, "Yeah, I had more fun at the fucking Nuremberg trials than watching that music." It's just I just wonder if it's that type of venue where she's like this middle class ditzy woman with her wine, and like there's this really aggressive punk band on.
Well,
I don't know. I'm gonna look it up right now.
It is. It's in Manhattan, isn't it?
Yeah, it's downtown.
Yeah, so it's definitely in a different area of the city. Like, it's not Brooklyn. It's not like.
Yeah, but it's downtown, and downtown a long time ago, Arlene's Grocery's Lower East Side. So it was. I mean, now it looks a lot different than it did in the 80s. I'm gonna see. I'm curious now.
I just like the name, Arlene's Grocery.
Yeah, 28 years old.
Oh,
28
okay.
years.
That's pretty cool. So
Good
1995.
So I've got one last question, and it relates to New York. To what extent do you see yourselves carrying on the legacy of those no wave and noise bands? Your Sonic Youths, Swans, artists like that.
Well, we love those bands, especially Sonic Youth.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we really think about anything like that. We literally, I mean, the reason why our name is GUHTS is because we basically don't call a song finished until we can really feel it in our gut. And we spelt it that way because that's the dictionary pronunciation, just to be weird, just to be weirdos. But yeah, I mean, if at some point somebody says, you know, that we carried on some legacy and wants to compare us to somebody, then that's just a bonus. But we definitely love those bands and have been inspired by all of those bands over the years.
Yeah, your music's so introspective. You could place it almost anywhere, couldn't you? It's not really about one specific identity. You know, when people say, oh, this band sound like where they're from, that theory just comes apart when you talk about death metal in Florida, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Why did that music come from Florida of all places? You know? Like, you can understand the Beach Boys, can't you, from California?
Yeah, that's true.
And Kraftwerk from Dusseldorf, you know, but Florida death metal just doesn't.
Well, Florida could be a weird place, so maybe that's got something to do with it.
Yeah, we just assume that the main danger there is being eaten alive by crocodiles.
Yeah.
There you go, death metal.
Yes, the endangerment to one's life by crocodiles. So the album Regeneration, 26th of January, I think, wasn't it, the release date?
Yeah.
Vinyl version and CD, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What about, I know you said that you've got plans for a UK tour. What are you going to be doing to try to further the promotional cycle beyond that, you know, to at least to the end of the year, to keep the album in people's consciousness?
Well, we have a video for Generate coming out sometime this month. Not exactly sure when. So that's one thing we'll be doing. We'll be doing another short tour at the beginning or second week of June. More like East Coast dates. Probably something else in the fall. So we're going to be doing like some little short spurts, you know, out on the road.
And then another video. We're making another video.
Yeah.
That's kind of in the works.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably put out another 2 or 3 videos. I mean, maybe make a video for every song on the album. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah, do it. You should do it. And hey, development opportunity for your niece and daughter to appear in more videos. Tell it to them that way. Look at this. I'm helping you with your creative direction in life.
Exactly.
Definitely.
And we're working on other music already too.
Yeah, no, we're writing the next album already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got that creative momentum, haven't you? I can tell. 1, you really want to get out there and tour. 2, you want to make videos. And 3, no time to waste. I've got ideas. Let's get in the rehearsal studio. Yeah. Sounds good.
That's it.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us on the ADK Rock and Metal channel. Go and check this album out. It is that term doom gaze. I would normally roll my eyes at that, but it is quite accurate to describe it. You know, you have got elements of My Bloody Valentine, but you've got elements of My Dying Bride as well in there, and ethereal post-metal, like shoegaze, neurosis type music. Really, I could use another 10 words to describe it, but I think the best thing is for people to go and listen to it themselves and make their mind up. So thank you very much for joining us on the channel, and I will definitely see you when you come over to England, hopefully next year.
Awesome.
Yes, I love that.
Much. Yeah.
Thank you for having us too.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.